Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and my camera is completely out of focus. And welcome to Trust Told You. I'm your host, Trust now, and yes, it is that time. It is. I don't know if I ever announced it. I don't think I even put out the questions before because I wasn't sure when it was going to be. Man, I've been talking about this recently. My camera, I've been kicking my ass. Like, look at this. If you're watching live, I'm blurry as a motherfucker right now. I go like this. There you go. A little to the left, fix it all. But yes, here we are. Was it last week? Did I do? No, I guess I did two. I did the no, that was this week. I did the Oscar one and stuff like that, and then I didn't do like a full show. But as I've said before, everyone's the goal is to do this weekly, and I guess I kind of made it up for it. I did two of them, and thank you to everyone that checked out the Oscar nominations cast because it did quite well, and I know because there's. Luckily, I think we have an audience that likes the Oscars and stuff like that, but I think it's a good combo of we like it, but we understand it's not the be all end all, and just some people get so like there's the two extremes, right? The people that get so worked up, like my favorite movie's not nominated, this is a crime, or it's like fuck the Oscars, they don't matter, I'm so cool. No, I'm not saying you don't have to think they matter. I'm not don't. Then they don't really matter, but they matter in the grand schemes of like fun competition or like hey on a poster if someone gets an Oscar that's gonna that's gonna be a thing. If someone wins an award, that's gonna be big for their career and stuff like that. So thank you for checking out that cast. And then yeah, this week's been lots of fun, lots of good casts. Go check out Golden Geek. So either patrons, you get it's almost 4 hours of a cast. Our biggest, I have to look, I think it's our longest Golden Geeks yet, which makes sense because 2022 for film was fucking outstanding. So check that out. If not, we're releasing them in parts in the public. Eventually they will be a full episode, but it's a 10-part series because there was so much to do there. I thought, okay, let's put this out in little parts so people don't miss category and stuff like that. But eventually you'll get a full episode. But if you want it right now, ad free as well, it's all up there, and that's why you head over to Patreon. Big thank you to everyone that supports us there because we couldn't do this without you, whether you're listening or you're on Patreon, especially supporting us there. You guys and gals and everyone in between have made it so we can do Trust Told You, side quest, double newscast, stuff like that. All the retros we're doing this year, you guys, pay for that. You help us. You legitimately just pay for it. You pay for the time we do to get it happening. So we really appreciate you. And if you have any interest in supporting the brand, even if it's for a month or two, check it out, try it out, let us know. We'd really appreciate it because then we can do more. Like we've always said, the more we can do, the more you get. So if you like us, we really appreciate the support. So thank you very much to everyone that does support us. And yeah, fun show today. We're going to talk about Fantastic Four rumors, which I know is like a big thing, or it's like a reoccurring thing. But that's the thing I like about the time where it's like we don't know stuff is I've always said before, I like when we go to the IMDb of old movies and you see like 20 actors listed for one character, like who it could have been. So like these are like knowing the MCU, these are the only times we're going to get these rumors, right? Because once they're cast, they'll be here for good like 10, 15 years and stuff. So gonna talk about some of that, gonna talk about just some random rumors. I forgot to pull them up, dang it. And then we're gonna talk about, of course, the Royal Rumble, big thing happening and stuff like that. Exciting time. So yeah, let's just get down to it. So the Royal Rumble. Very interesting, right? Because and I never did. I apologize. The reason I'll explain why I didn't do the show. At one point, it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember when I saw Babylon. I was going to do a big like topic on, what is it? The sale and the Saudi Arabia stuff and Vince coming back and everything like that. The reason I didn't end up doing that is because I'm saving it for another time. I'm saving it for when, the sale thing's a bit more final. I'm saving it for the Vince stuff coming back. That still sucks. And Stephanie coming back or leaving, that sucks. And the Vince thing is it's just a complete ego trip. And I hope that he just is there for what they say, a sale. But it's hard for me to believe that because the man has lied many, many times and stuff like that. So as of right now, it's seemingly that's happened, right? He's just back for the sale. He's back behind the scenes, but he's not involved in creative. And I hope that happens because I think, as you can see from this event, fantastic. Now, it's not without its issues, and the same thing as Triple H, right? It's not like, oh, he's the fucking nothing he's done is wrong. No, there were some missteps in this show, and even with Raw 30 and stuff like that. But overall, the big picture stuff, the biggest things, and we'll go match by match, and then we'll talk about everything. The big picture stuff, the two Rumbles and the main event, knocked out of the park, especially the main event we'll get to last. He kind of set up for failure because you put that on last, right? And so many times where it's like the Rumble has the hype. The Rumble's the most exciting things to go down, right? And it's just the fact that you didn't end with that. And I'll get to like, oh man, this is risky. You better have the Rock. And they didn't have the Rock, but still pulled it off. Bravo to the entire team. I always say Triple H, but it is everybody. Everybody else is writing, booking, producing, whatever it may be. So I think this is one of the better shows as far as if you look at Rumble history. The overall, yeah, there was some missteps. We'll get to them. Some Mountain Dew sponsored matches and whatnot. But let's talk about the men's Rumble here first. So, um, I don't think I'm gonna go entrance by entrance and stuff like that. I got, what is it here? CBS Sports. They got like some people coming out and everything like that. I'll just mention the spots and like some of the things I take away from them. But again, the men's Rumble and women's Rumble, it's tough because I think I've seen more sentiment of the women's Rumble being the favorite. I personally like the men's one better this year. I think that people, I'm not trying to speak for them, I think the people that like the women's one really like the finish, which I could argue, hey, I understand. It's very creative. It's some different things we haven't seen before. The finish of the men's Rumble I liked because I do like when they every once in a while let it go of, okay, we're going to have two people. We're going to have, what is it? Like 2007-ish, right? When they had the Royal Rumble and then it was Shawn and Taker last and they had a mini match. And that's what happened here, right? With Cody Rhodes having a mini match with Gunther. And I don't know how to go about this. You guys know what's having the Rumble, so I shouldn't like, oh, who was last and who won? I really dig that stuff. They also did that with Sheamus and Jericho a few in 2012 as well, but it was like a smaller degree of it. But I like that. I like when it's just two mano. Now to start off with Gunther, I don't know, Gunther. I swear I heard commentary say both things last night. I did not know it was the record. I know he was in there for a while, so he entered number one, but he was in there for an hour and 11 minutes. And that's one thing I got to say that so far, it's funny, they brought back a lot of people, but I think Triple H is very good when he really wants to be at shining a light on somebody. And I would not have pegged Gunther to be the MVP, the Iron Man of this, and to break the record. And he's a bigger dude too, right? I feel like it's always like the smaller people that do that because they got the stamina, stuff like that. But he's a big guy, and he had quite a showing. And I listened to the press conference, and I think Triple H was right that he never blended into the match. And then obviously in the middle, they did that face down with him and Brock. I really hope that does happen. There was rumors of that a few months ago, but then I know there was a couple scoopers that went, there's not maybe that as much to that as you think. But I really hope they go that route, and I would hope they have Gunther beat him too, because here's the thing that I liked about this Rumble. It felt like even the women's one, but the women's one had a different kind of route with the NXT people. This you still had like Edge and Brock, no Rey Mysterio, which we'll talk about, but they're in there for only a little bit. Now, at first, it felt head scratching, right? Where Brock comes in, tosses a bunch of people, then he's out probably in 5 minutes. Edge is in there, gets some spears, pop, gets tossed out and stuff like that. But two things I like about this is, one, they were setting up or including stories that were already going on. Edge with the Judgment Day, Brock and Bobby, stuff like that, right? With what was it? With their eliminations, that's really quick, but they get to highlight the younger talent. It's like they come in for a little bit, get a shine, do some moves, and then they're gone. They're not dominating the Rumble, and they don't need to. Edge is going to be over till he retires. Brock's going to be over till he decides to stop being a part-time wrestler. Like, they don't need the shine. So at first, I was like, oh, that's strange, especially I know Brock, like, they're paying him all this money, but I almost prefer them. Plus, like, Brock won last year and everything. So I was a big fan of everything they did in the men's Rumble. It felt like highlighting new stars. Mini stories were still going on. Angles were starting. There was moments and stuff like that. Some moments that screwed up, and then you had Gunther, which like held it all down as far as the Iron Man going all the way, and just a great showing. And whatever they do, I hope they do something big with him at Mania. And then it came down to him and Cody took it all. Oh, sorry, I felt like I was gonna sneeze there. Sometimes I feel like coming on. It's always the morning cast where I feel like I sneeze. Hang on, I'm gonna take a water, clear the system. There we go. What was I gonna say? So it comes down to Cody and Gunther, and Cody gets the win. I love the back and forth too. Like, how smart is it that you're gonna have Cody, who has a um, pet coming back from a pec issue, which that scar sucks. It's just like obviously it was a big bad one, but it just sucks that it's there. And, whatever it is, what it is. But so he's coming back from a pec issue, and I'm sure they had Gunther in there because he was going to be the. And it's so funny when Gunther came up, I was like Walter. I was like, oh, I'm still not used to saying Gunther, but um, I'm sure he was going to be an Iron Man, a big highlight, anyways. But you have a guy who's coming back from a pec issue or pec tear, really, and pec surgery. That's his big issue, right? And then Gunther, one of his main moves is chopping. He's known for chopping and making guys' chests look like meat, like torn apart. It's like it just fantastic. Like it makes sense. It's the little things like that that are great. But Cody gets the win. I thought I was right on the men's and women's rumble. Uh, it's interesting because there's and some of this I'll talk about more in the main event and stuff like that. I think Cody all the time is interesting, right? Because we kind of had three perspectives or routes going on of like The Rock, Cody, or Sammy. Sammy, we're going to talk about in a little bit because that's obviously something they're doing, but it's they're walking on eggshells. Maybe we'll see. Depends who you ask, but obviously there's the Rock rumors, right? When the Rumble was first, okay, the Rock's not here. I thought the Rock might be at the end, but no, the Rock wasn't. So it's not Rock. Cody wins the Rumble. It's tough the situation I'm in because I'm a Cody Rhodes guy. I love Cody Rhodes. He's behind Omega as, my favorite right now. And even then there's times where he's up there because like what he's done for this business. He changed that promo that he did in AEW's last night where he said like he's the guy that actually changed the business. Like Punk dropped the pipe bomb and then, kind of left. He's the guy that went out there and made a difference, and he did. Like he's one of the main like AEW doesn't happen without him. I'll say that. I don't care. There might be some version, but not the way it is now and how big it got. Right? He was a big part of that. So he changed it. I love what they did. And I love them winning. I'm a Cody Rhodes guy. I want the story. I think is there, right? He left a company he created to come here to win the title that his family has never won. More importantly, his dad never won. Right? Was very close in a match, but never happened. That tells the story right there. It's great. If it is Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, I looked back. It's the first time, and I still count Roman as like a full-time guy. I know that he works a lighter schedule now, but he's on a lot of shows. He's on a lot of pay-per-views still. I don't think he's like part-time status yet. And to me, he's still a current star. The last time for the men, we've had two current stars versus each other is WrestleMania 26, which I was there for, with Miz versus Cena. And even that had the shroud of, is Rock going to interfere? Is he going to do something? Because like that's when Cena's Rock's rivalry was just starting, right? Every year it was, Batista, because after that we got Rock and Cena twice. Then we got Batista, Orton, and Daniel Bryan, which, okay, Orton and Daniel Bryan, but still Batista was not exactly part-time, but he was coming back from being a movie star and stuff like that. And if you want to count that one, sure, okay, but still, if taking that out, even then, that's 8 years ago? Because then after that, it's like Rock and Roman. It's it's Brock and Roman, and then it's like Taker and Roman, and then it's AJ and Taker, and it's Brock and Roman, and then there's another Brock and Roman. There's Drew and Brock, and it's always fucking Brock. My God, I'm done with that era. Just have him be on the show like this. Perfect. Use Triple H. And then that's why I said the men. The women's, they've had that where same thing. I wouldn't have counted Ronda as a part timer. You had Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte, and then a couple years ago you had Sasha and Bianca, right? But for the men, there's been so much on just like the part timer. So even though the Sami Zayn thing does give you this, but the idea like Cody versus Roman feels like this a big match. It feels for all the reasons, for the family things of wrestling, for where Cody's coming from the legacies of it, from just the story of him wanting to win the title for his dad versus this guy who is just cold and using this title as like keeping hostage because he's cheating and stuff like that, but still he's like the big guy and stuff. Over 900 days as champ, right? It's a great story, but also the Sami Zayn story is great. But that's where, to me, it's so tough, right? Because and the good thing was, good pop, there was no people, and I wasn't worried about this. People have this narrative like, oh, Cody's going to get booed. If it's not Sammy, it's going to happen. And I know some people have been like, I'd seen the narrative like, oh, you got to make sure Sammy's on the match so people don't boo. It's like, no one remembers the Batista Royal Rumble. Like, everyone booed because Daniel Bryan wasn't in it. So that's the thing where, I feel like people really love Sami Zayn, and they wouldn't be disappointed if he were in this Rumble, would have won it, and go to face Roman. But people didn't boo, and people also love Cody. I think the thing that is different with the situations, because I've seen this already, right? Like, how do you do, and we'll get to the main event, like, how do you not do Sami and Roman at Mania? And it's tough for me because I hate to be on the other side where I was in 2014, but where I am the wrestling fan side is people love Cody too. They're behind Cody. In 2014, the options they were presenting us was Batista and Orton, two equations which we didn't want, we'd seen before, that didn't feel like a big WrestleMania main event, in my opinion, at that point. Batista, when he came back, wasn't in the best shape, and I think he even admitted that. By the time he was there, he got better and better, but it was just, okay, if we're not going to get Brian, what else are we getting? And that's what's like, oh, we're getting that. I feel like people are kind of like myself, where it's okay, we're not getting Sami and Roman at WrestleMania, but you're gonna get Roman and Cody, and you go, oh, that's also a great story. Now, Cody Rhodes, which we'll talk about again, the angle at the end of the show, he has a fucking long, hard job to get people as invested as they did with Roman Sami. And guess what? It's not gonna happen. I don't think you can match that story. Also, because this story's been going on since August. Cody and Roman's gonna go February, March, April, so 2.5, 3 months. Sami's what? That's like 6+ months, half a year. So it's hard. And I know I've seen people also be like, oh man, all this heat, and you're just gonna have Sami in a tag title match at Mania. I get it, but it's just, I feel like between what Cody says and Triple H says, even at that press conference, there's this great moment at this press conference where I said this to Emily, this where he's just, what I like about Cody Rhodes is he always does this where there's sometimes I go, oh, it'd be smart if someone did this, did that. And then the person does it. You go, fuck. And that's Cody. Cody's always doing that. They're at this press conference after Rumble, and it's just littered with Mountain Dew stuff. And we're going to get back to the Rumble match, don't worry, but it's littered with Mountain Dew stuff. I'm just defending my case for Cody Rhodes. No one's sipping this stuff. And he sits down for an interview. He's like, someone's got to drink this, right? And then he takes, he's like kind of dramatic. He does it, swishes. He's like, that's some damn good stuff. And the entire room just pops, laughs. He comes off as such a star. I love Sami Zayn, and this is where it feels like on the 2014, like, oh, Daniel Bryan's not the face. We're in The Rock versus Roman. The good thing, you can do that at any point. You don't need the title. At any point, the fight for head of the table is going to be a big match, and Roman's going to beat him, and it's going to be a massive moment, right? For Sami and Cody, it's very tough because you got Sami's storyline, you got to strike now while the iron is hot. It's never going to be hotter than it is now. But at the same time, if Cody's story is, hey, I want to win the big one, I want to win the title, the idea should be at WrestleMania, right? I guess you could do SummerSlam, but then what? You're going to try and say for another, so we get to, let's say April, and they switch it up and Sami's in the main event. You got April, May, June, July, August, like, so another almost half a year, and you have to sustain this idea of the story. And then at that point, it just feels like Cody's kind of a loser, because if he's not in the Rumble, like, I just mean, like, what would you have him do to fill the time, right? So I think it's an unfortunate situation for both, where for Sami, Cody needs to be in this title picture right now. It has to happen. He comes back from injury, wins the big match, and he got a big pop. The people didn't cheer. So I feel like people are with me where people love Sami, but Cody's also a good option too. And I feel like the reason why WWE's going to go more Cody's side is my example at the press conference. The guy's fucking ready. He's ready for the ball. He's ready to be the guy. He's ready to run and put that company on his back. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Rock or Stone Cold, but he can, I think, do great things with this company, do great stories. He's one of the best storytellers in wrestling, and that's what I appreciate. So I think he can do that. And not saying Sami Zayn can't tell a great story, but I don't think Sami Zayn can be the face. I look at him more as like Mankind from the Attitude Era, right? Where I think you could get him to win a title, be popular, but Mankind was never the face, right? And that's, I'm not trying to say like that. I don't think he should never hold the title. He should never beat Rome. No, it's just, for Cody, it's unfortunate that the Sami storyline's so hot right now. And for Sami, it's unfortunately that the Cody storyline has perfect timing, right? And we'll get to the Sami stuff. But that's why I think the Cody one, I think with the reaction, people were happy with it. It feels well-deserved. And I feel like, too, like, people want to see Roman Sami, but there is, like, I think lots because AEW stuff and, like, what, FTR, fuck Roman, and then it was FTR, right? Fuck Roman Reigns, fuck the Roman Reigns and stuff like that. Like, there was lots of shots thrown at him back in the day. Cody versus Roman feels like a big time match. And again, I hate to say this, if you're not having Roman versus Austin Rock, which I'm happy, let's get some new talent. You look at the posters and you look for WrestleMania, and this is why I've always agreed now the sentiment, which it does suck a little, but still it is a sentiment, and I don't think it sucks now because I think Cody's worthy of it. But WrestleMania has been deemed like the big event for the mainstream audience, and then SummerSlam is like the wrestling fans' WrestleMania, right? Because that can be big, but it doesn't have to be as big. If you have posters of Roman and Sammy or Roman and Cody, I feel like the GA is really going to go more towards the Cody thing because you can show that story to Sammy, sure. And I know that was the case with Daniel Bryan, right? But again, I think that was just, he was the only option. Even Sami Zayn said this interview, like, it felt like he was the only guy. It doesn't feel like that right now. It feels like lots of people love multiple characters. So Cody gets the win. Great performance at 30. And even for Gunther, he's protected where Gunther was went for an hour and 11 minutes. And then Cody Rhodes, who's back from injury, so that's why you can say it was hard, but back from injury is number 30, last guy, right? So that's where, again, they protected Gunther. They made Gunther a star. They made Cody feel like a big star again. So I think it's his time. It's one of these things where I think he has to win, though. If they have hit, this is where I would go back, where if I'm sitting in the boardroom and we're going to have Cody win it, yeah, and then WrestleMania's going to versus Roman, I'm like, yeah, and then he's going to lose. I go, well, then you do Roman and Sammy because Cody's first shot at the title, he should win. If he doesn't, he feels dead in the water, and it's just another baby face just sprouted out and gone. So that's my thoughts on Cody. I'll try to go off that now because we're going to be talking about for months and everything like that. All the game says the two Rumbles were a little predictable, but the women's had a bit more tension, especially with the finish. Gunther has slimmed down quite a bit over the last year or so. Oh, Gunther got in great shape. Great. And I'm not saying you have to, but like for that business, like, especially, I don't know if he had his bigger stature, if he could have went the hour and 11, maybe he could have. I'm not trying to dismantle him, but he looks like $1,000,000. And the good thing is he's so tall. He's just like imposing. It's how annoying the athletic, or it's annoying just how athletic the Paul brothers are. We'll talk about the Paul brothers, or at least Logan Paul, in a second here. But to go back to your Rumble, a little predictable, you're not alone. I've seen that sentiment, but um, for me, things can be predictable, but I look at them as like winter soldier, which for me, I got almost too predictable. But it's like if it's predictable, but it's damn good, sometimes you need to be predictable because to me, if let's say it's not Sammy or Cody, and it's just, well, we got to have a shocking men's winning Rumble because everyone thinks it's Sammy or Cody. It's like, well, that's not the story. The story right now is it's Cody Sloan, right? Finish the story. The story is this guy is trying to win a title for the first time for the Rhodes family, right? And it's like, it's predictable. And same thing with Rhea. I thought that was predictable too. She'd win, but it doesn't make it the bad story. With the Women's Rumble, there's a lot of great talent there. I didn't see anyone I thought that deserved it more than Rhea, and we'll get there. And with Cody, it makes sense story-wise. So yeah, the winners are predictable, but sometimes you need that. Like, predictable's the best route to go, you know? So and I'm going to go by some entrants here. You had Kofi Kingston at 4, and then Xavier. You had Johnny Gargano, who had a nice little showing. Nothing crazy. I thought I'd get a little bit more. Johnny, since he's been back, I guess he got injured. I just feel like he's floundering like a little bit. I think eventually Triple H will get there. I feel like after WrestleMania, there'll be a good reset. Hopefully he's still in creative. Hopefully he's still in creative for WrestleMania. Miz got out very quick. I was very surprised. I like Miz. I think he does good. There's been many Rumbles where he's in there a long time. They gave him a nice little spot where the guys took turn, like, beat him up to kick him out, but I was surprised just how long he was in there. I thought he'd be in there more. So Kofi and Xavier, New Day. So this sucks. 2 years in a row, Kofi. Last year he did, I can't remember what spot it was. I think it was a jump on the guardrail and then he fell. Kofi Kingston, if you don't know, he does these things where in the Royal Rumble, you throw Kofi over and then he finds some miraculous way to not like get eliminated, right? Because the whole thing of Rumble is 2 feet got to touch the floor. Last year he finally, like, how many times has he done it correctly? And it's funny, every year we're like, oh man, what if he fell? And then last year he did. He fell, didn't get to do the fun comeback thing, right? And then Kofi again did it this year where he was on the apron, Xavier was out, he was holding the chair, and that's where it sucks. Like, there was a chair there, and I feel like, I don't know what they were going to do, because Kofi's already done the thing where he lands on the commentary table, gets to the chair, and then jumps over, right? And this is where it sucks double, because they're going to have Kofi jump on the chair, and they had Xavier out just, like, to me, to hold the chair, to make sure Kofi could for sure get it. And still... he fell again, and it sucks, and that doesn't take away anything. It just sucks that 2 years in a row that they're gonna go for some sort of like surprise entrance or something, or surprise like elimination where he somehow gets out of it and he fell again. again, this guy has over a decade or near decades worth of like great highlights where he's done really cool, surprising stuff. But 2 years in a row, oh, and next year he's gonna try. He's gonna try it again. So I feel bad. I felt bad for Xavier Woods. Then there's also rumors he might have got hurt on that spot, and I hope not. That sucks big time. So I feel bad for him because that guy's a hard worker, and it just, man, just sucks. At this point, you had Chad Gable, Bobby Lashley, Santo Escobar, Doc, and just the middle was a bunch of just like putting people out. And Brock Lesnar. I talk about this. They did this Gunther. This is where you gotta go, because I was reacting the same way at home, but you gotta listen to the people. The second Gunther and Brock Lesnar face down, you got that like, oh, and it was funny in both men's and Rumble, both men's and women's Rumble, they did that with multiple people. And sometimes, like I for some reason, like Natalia and Shayna Baszler tried that, and it was like no reaction, like no one cares. Like, yeah, you guys used to be former teammates, but we didn't like this team. But when you got Brock and Gunther, it's like, okay, we want to see this. You can hear the crowd when they get that, oh shit, like you gotta listen to it. So Brock and Bobby are in a storyline right now. That's the way it's going and everything like that. So it's something that it's just going to happen, right? Bobby's going to go throw him out. And I don't know if that's the plan for Mania or not. I don't know if the plan is to do Brock and Bobby. They've done it now 2 times and everything like that. So I just don't think that I have really any interest in seeing it again. Um, One second. Yes, Glenn. Okay. You're going to have to wait a second, okay? One second. My daughter needs me. I'm back. The audio will never know. Bluey stopped. Everyone else sleep. Oh, this is eating Cheerios, hanging out, watching Bluey. Bluey got the last episode, I guess, finish up. But where was I? So I have no interest in Brock and Bobby though. I just really don't. It's fine. I don't know. We've seen it before. I'm not as interested in it as other people, so I hope that's something me match. If it is, that's probably my bathroom break. So, but I liked. It's strange that a couple years ago they did this too, where I don't know if anyone remembers. They were leading towards Brock versus Bray at the Rumble, and or at Mania, and they changed it to Brock and Dean Ambrose at the time. But Wyatt threw him out, and he was all pissed. He's throwing stuff around, and then he just leaves. And the same thing happened again, this one where Bobby throws him out, and he's throwing things around. He's pissed, and then he just leaves. I guess he beats up Baron Corbin on the way, but like I would never believe that Brock would just leave. Like the way the character is, like, oh, you gotta go, you gotta go. It's like I felt like he was gonna go and get Bobby and then keep the feud going, but he just destroyed stuff. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Brock, there's not much you can do with Brock now that really interests me. I felt like last year when Roman beat him, that was like almost a good like, hey, let's never see him again, or even at SummerSlam when they did it, like we don't need to see him again, like. But I get it, he's a draw, people like him, but there's just nothing interesting for me with Brock Lesnar. They did a spot where Corbin kept getting beaten up by Brock, and then Seth came down. I'll talk about Seth in a second. You had Booker as the surprise entrance. That's another thing. Like, I know people love the surprise entrance, who it's going to be. Sometimes I do think you need a Rumble, though, where it's a lot of our talent. Like, lots of the 90s Rumbles didn't have that. They'd have some surprises, but it wasn't like the 2010s to like 20s, even the late half of 2000, I'd say like 6 to maybe 7 to 10 is like just riddled with surprise, like Hacksaw Jim Duncan. It's just like, I guess, but like, I want the new generation to get there more. I want them to be in the Rumble. So I was happy. It's really just Booker, and that was it. Booker came in for a little bit, did the spinneroonie, hit a couple scissor kicks, and he was gone. Works for me. Perfect. Like, that's the right amount of surprise entrance I want, right? And then they did this thing where apparently it's because Ray's injured, but Ray's music hit. He didn't come out. Then Dom came out. Everything they're doing with Dom was great. I do agree that I think they do got to do Dom versus Ray at WrestleMania. I think that's tons of fun, and I think that's like the only route you can go, in my opinion. Like, what you have to do here. But everything they've been doing with Dom Mysterio is great. He still like needs to improve on some stuff, but this is much more interesting for him, and I feel like he's having a bit more fun and can show some personality, where before he was just Ray's son, right? But he comes out, had a very lots of problems trying to rip Ray's mask. They should have cut it before and then him rip it, but I digress. Let's see what else happened. Edge came out. That's right about already. Further, they like further the storyline. Again, he wasn't there long, but he eliminated the Judgment Day. Okay, I'm gonna go win the Rumble now. And then the Judgment Day comes back, takes him out. So I don't know what they're gonna do. It's unfortunate Christian is in AEW, because like that's what you need right now. But I think I don't know if it's at Montreal or if it's at Mania to blow it off, because I 6 a.m. here. It's early. I gotta do this because we gotta go drive the kids up to do ski lessons and stuff like that, and like a couple hour drives. This weekend's been like hectic, lots of plan changes. So I don't know when I was gonna record. So I gotta do it now. I was gonna say, I thought at Mania they were gonna do Rhea and Finn versus Edge and Beth in a mixed tag, and that would have been lots of fun. Clearly, Rhea's doing something, and I didn't think that like at the time. I thought that a few months ago when they did that angle. I think they might do that at the Chamber, or they're gonna do Chamber like Edge and Finn, and then Beth and Rhea. I think you got to do Beth and Rhea no matter what. So I don't know with Edge and Finn if it's a Mania match or not. That's one where it's like, we've seen it now twice, right? I think they did the last man standing, then no, I guess maybe it's just the one time, I think. So you could get some more juice out of that. The good thing is like there's a story there, right? And the story started last year with a botched Edge and AJ, in my opinion, which I was starting to like the match. Like, I think that match they should have just kept with the dream match scenario when it had Damian interfering that led to like a bad guy stable. Like, I don't think they should have done that. I think they mishandled that. So it's a year-long story, so I kind of get that. It's a good, because I always just go like, who else is Edge gonna face? It's one of these things that I'm happy Edge is back. I don't want him to retire per se, but he's talking about doing that next year. But it is this thing of, I feel like all the people we want to see him, like Bryan, Roman, Rollins, Finn right now, like legitimately all the people that were on the list. There's probably still a few others, of course, but that were like high on the list that we want to see these dream matches of. We're getting them or have gotten them. Like I think him and Cody is one that they should definitely do at some point. But I think with Edge, he's pretty much worked with the big people I want him to work with, right? And that's why I think it will kind of work when he wants to retire next year. So Edge of Finn, yeah, I could see that. I could see that being the match, and that works for me. They'll put on a solid. I liked their last man standing match was fantastic. The storyline, everything. I think they do have good chemistry. So I'm completely down. It's not like the most shocking thing, but I can't think of anyone else Edge is going to really work with right now. I could be wrong, but so you got that going on. You had Beth with a spot. Logan Paul. He entered at 29. So. It's tough, right? Like on the game, even my lady and like hates Logan Paul. A lot of people hate Logan Paul, and I don't like Logan Paul. It's one of these things where, like, it's not that I feel indifferent. Do I wish he was not in WWE? Sure. Do I get why he's there? Sure. He's a celebrity. He has lots of followers, and he brings controversy where he goes. And the thing is, what sucks for everybody, whatever you want to say, is like he's just damn good. He's one of these people that he's a celebrity, and yeah, he trains for other things in other sports, right? I imagine. Does he do boxing too? I can't remember, but he's in good shape. Every time he's been in the ring, he delivers. Here he delivers. I'm sure it's happened, but I've never seen that spot where he had Ricochet on one side, Logan Paul on another. They go to springboard, close on each other, and they hit each other in the middle of the map. I'm sure somewhere. I haven't seen in like big mainstream wrestling. It was an incredible spot. Logan Paul could fucking go. It sucks, whatever you want to do. And that's why for me, I guess I'm just like, I don't like Logan Paul, but I just try to put that aside and go, okay, kind of like actor versus role, right? There's Logan Paul guy and there's Logan Paul the wrestler. So that's why I try to separate them, and he's just damn good. It sucks for that, but also if they use him right, and they should use him as a heel, which I think they're starting to. Um, that's the route to go, and he could. I'm not gonna say be mega heel, but he could be up there if they use him to get booed as a bad guy. I think that's the fantastic route to go. So what they did with this is at one point he got this big thing happen. He rolled on the ring because obviously again the Rumble, when you rolled out of the ring, you're not out. They did this great kind of face off. They're big into the three-way face off. So it was Seth, Gunther, and Cody. And it was great at one point that Seth and Cody just wanted to fight. Gunther was like, hey, I'm still here. Beat them both up. And then so Seth is about to do something to Gunther or Cody. And then Logan Paul comes out, throws Seth over the top, right? So that I think that the setup to that means, I don't know. I feel like, are they doing that for Mania? Is that what the plan is? Like, to me, in the past, when you do something like that, that's usually what it means, right? Could just be a thing. I think it also depends on, there's these rumors of Cena versus Logan Paul, right? That depends, because if you got Cena, you're going to do that. And I agree that there is some sort of aspect of a markability towards that match. But if not, it's Seth, like kind of almost like it sounds like Cody was, where it's okay, if we don't get The Rock, you're up next. And that's what I think was going to happen. Because I think with Cody, I think it was going to be, okay, it's either him versus Roman or Rock. And if Rock's here, we're going to separate the titles again and Cody will get a win. I think either way, Cody was going to get a title win, which is who. And I think Roman makes sense as the bigger one. With Seth, I don't know how I feel about that. Seth for me is it's just not working. I appreciate now that they've turned him babyface, and I think that's working a bit better. I've said this for a while. I just don't like this character. I try. Seth is one of my, if I'm talking about in ring, for sure top 10 currently. But when I do rankings, it's usually an overalls, like a combo of the character, promo work, and the in ring work. And I think promo wise he can be good. It just doesn't feel believable. There was this commercial in the middle of him and Becky Lynch at Applebee's, and he's like, "Oh, give me that top freaking steak." Like, I just can't cheer for the guy. And I remember, I didn't agree with the sentiment a couple of years ago when he was a babyface, when he was the King Slayer Burn All Down Seth Rollins version, right? And he won the Rumble, which I was happy with, and he beat Brock, and then he had a all right title run until he ran into the Fiend, and they made him look like an idiot. He was scared out of his life for the Fiend, and it just killed him, right? And that's why they had to kill him, or they turn him heel, because they killed his babyface character, made him so uncool. How can I cheer for this guy? And I get what he's going for right here. Like, he's kind of like the cool heel. Now he's a babyface, like over the top, very loud, cool costumes. I just think it doesn't come off as natural. I don't think this is actually what Tyler Black is, and not saying you have to do that, but I think the best characters are usually a big amplification of yourself. And there's places like, okay, Mark Calloway's not the Undertaker, so there is exceptions to the rule, and like Mick Foley's not Mankind, but there's stuff of them in there. I don't feel that with the Seth frickin' Rollins character. I don't feel like I see Seth there or Tyler Black. I just see this goofy guy. And I remember that, to me, he beat Brock. There was a big pop, and he had this run. And I remember and they did pair him with Becky at the time. I didn't have a problem, but a lot of people did. Of like, oh, I'm seeing this couple. And it's weird how people get about wrestling couples. Of like, I don't know if it's like they didn't like that Seth was with Becky because like they want to be with Becky, or they just like feel it's forced down. It felt natural. They're both champions. I think that's kind of cool. It's gonna be fun for their kids to look back on. But either way, he won. And I remember there was some criticism. I think even Bully Ray said this too, where it's just like, is he over? Or is it just like they wanted, Brock to lose? And I thought it was a bit of both, but I still think they wanted Rollins to win. But the other criticism I heard is like, is it just his song? Do people just like to say burn it down, right? That's how I feel now on the other side. Again, how 2014 Travis and versus, Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn, how different I feel on that. Same thing as this was a few years ago. I feel like people are just very into the song. They like to sing the song. I'm not saying they don't like Seth Rollins. I still like Seth Rollins. When he gets in the ring, he can go. But I don't think he's as over as when people are singing the music. And so the Logan Paul spot is not a bad, I don't know. Because when you see Rollins in interviews out of character. It feels like he's still the guy he was when he was Architect a few years ago, right? Where he wants to be the guy, the main thing, and he never is. I don't think this character. I feel like he's doing this eccentric character because he feels like this could get him to that top level, right? This could get him to be okay. I could be, uh, a main event A tier guy with this big costumes, annoying voice, loud, very eccentric look. And I don't think so because it doesn't come off as genuine. Now, how does that feel about Logan Paul? You got like all these big matches happening. I feel like if Seth wants to make it work, he can look at it and go, hey, I'm going to get a lot of publicity from this. A lot of eyes are going to be on me. But I don't know if he cares about that because on the other side is, but I'm not in like a big wrestling thing. And yeah, sure, okay, Logan Paul can go and they're probably a good match, but it's like, I feel like he'd want to have like a title match, a main event match versus like whatever, they need to find like an Undertaker slot where Undertaker was like every year you had like a baked in main event with a, legendary talent or a veteran talent. They don't have that anymore unless someone's returning. So I don't know how Steph would really feel about this. The match will be fine, but it's just, I don't know how I'm feeling about all that. But then, yeah, he gets out of there and then it's done like Gunther I think they had Cody throw at Paul, which was very smart. So I overall really well booked men's rumble. Let's take our first ad break and then we're gonna be back with the rest of the show. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So let's go down. Good moment. And I forgot to mention too with oh no, look, there's all the entrances and everything like that. Right below. Thank you, CBS Sports. As somebody that appreciates Cody, the Elite, Bull Club, everything that happened. The fact that Cody won and he did the too sweet, kissed it, did the gun, and then pointed. And he even said in the press conference, like, I love that. This whole narrative, like, there's big bad blood. He's talking about how he talks with the Young Bucks still the time. I think him and Kenny are fine. Him and Kenny had always said, like, hey, we're friendly, but we're not like like they weren't like best friends. And you can't do that in a big group of friends. Like everyone's gonna be best friends. But it was him just acknowledging where he come from, and without them, he couldn't have done this. And it's kind of like, you're a lead in Bull Club for life, kind of, right? So really loved that touch. Very smart. Just really worked. After that, because luckily the Rumble stuff is going to take the longest to talk about. After that, you got Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in a pitch black match. This, I don't know, man. I talk about Seth's characters not working. Now, Bray Wyatt, he not just came back. He's in November. I'm not saying this is not working for me. I'm not watching WWE full time. I watch it more than I have like when Vince was in charge. I don't watch Raw and SmackDown every day live. Not every time. I usually catch the replays. And I'll keep up to date though. I'm always watching highlights and stuff like that. But it's it's a lot of time. That's like 6 hours of content every weekend plus pay-per-views, right? And maybe I will at some point get back to, because if the product keeps getting better, yes. But so and especially during WrestleMania season now, I'll find myself probably watching a lot more. So I'm not watching the weekly, but I've held up enough of like, okay, people, I feel like this narrative of Brave is back, we're very happy, but the storyline feels very drawn out. It's just, who's Uncle Howdy? all these things, right? I This match, I don't know. It all felt wrong because you have Bray Wyatt, who has these very thought out, very, clever promos, very dense, all these things going on with the storyline, like very layered and thoughtful, right? And then he's in a Mountain Dew pitch black match. And what is this? It's just a lot of neon, and it looked goofy, and it was silly, and that's where only game I had heard the same sentiment, right? Of LA Knight carried the feud, and the times I had watched, it felt like that. LA Knight was great. This wasn't great for him, I know, and that's the other thing too. There's always been this narrative, right? Like you don't want to feud with Braid because you don't come out on the other end looking better, you look worse. Hopefully it just kind of moves past. I don't know. This is again, I'm willing to give this a chance. This is my like least favorite version of the characters he's portrayed so far. This idea of like and I like it as far as, okay, a man trying to, I don't know. At first it seemed like pitched like he was going to, I don't know, try to recover from his sins, I guess. I don't know. Like he's trying to atone for his sins. But, it's one of these things like, he's being evil again. Like he has Uncle Howdy. They have this match. It's a quick match. It's nothing. They go to the stage. Neon lights up and they look up and Uncle Howdy's there and he does like a fucking jumping flip and there's like this, he missed him big time and there's this bad like fire going on. It's just silly. Didn't work. All the other Bray Wyatt stuff, the Fiend, the matches before when he was, whatever the regular Bray, you got the just Bray Wyatt as like the talk show kids host guy. All that worked for me. I'm waiting for the payoff. The pitchback looked like a scene from the awful Clooney band. It did when they fought that gang. I remember that, right? And Ivy like takes it over and stuff like that. And you're right. It actually is very similar. So with the puppets, Uncle Howdy, the Wyatt Six, I'm willing to let it play out. I feel like Bray probably has a good storyline in mind. It's just, luckily, this is why I'm not watching Week. People just it's taken a while to get there, and the stuff in it has not been the greatest. And this match, I'm happy for Bray that he's back. This was not a good showing for anyone. None of this worked. None of this was a good idea, in my opinion. Felt like they booked this match just to get to the ending. MJ, off topic, but why don't you all start a separate podcast show based on anime only, like Alliance or something? Maybe one day. We had talked about actually at GeekVerse, but it's just like, again, we say this, I don't like to try this like a broken record. And I don't like to be like, well, you need to support us, but like, it's just like time in the day. Like that was one of the things I remember. We had talked about that before, but just, we already do 4 shows a week. We have a retrospective. So it's just like, it's just time. It's just, and same with Alliance. It's the same thing. Like that now is, I'd have to hear a really good pitch because that has like almost a show a day, sometimes 2 shows a day. And that feed has a lot. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's like the point where, okay, that also has to grow a certain amount because you have to grow so everyone can, people get paid there too. So it's like both have to grow. So that'd be my thing is like, if there was ever interest, a lot of people requesting it and not a lot of people have MJ. So that's one thing why we probably haven't done it, where there's things that people request a lot where it's like, okay, we'll find a way to do it. So it's people requesting it. And also it's just like time and money. That's really it. So maybe one day, not opposed to anything. It's like this is where, at this point, I had announced that in our town hall that this was supposed to be, this month was supposed to be like the kickoff of the wrestling spinoff show. And one of my, I don't want to reveal who the host is and stuff in case we do. And I like to keep it, secret and stuff like that. And it's it's not like I got fucking a former wrestler. No, it's just that the plan was to do this. And then actually I said this before, there was a plan to do me, myself, and then another host. One host couldn't do it, so that's where it was tougher. Doing it with just me, myself, and another guy is tougher with my schedule, and that's why I had to tell the host because me and GeekVerse were doing some other projects, and it's just time. I couldn't have the time to dedicate as much as I thought I would once we started doing other things, and once there's this other project we're working on got rolling, family life, everything. I just didn't have the time to do the wrestling show, and that's where I hope to do it one day again. And I even told this, host of like I'm a fan of him and stuff like that. And I've said, hey, like I want to do this, but it's just time. My hope, and the other thing is behind closed doors. I've said this before. I got a new job where what was going to happen before, where my old job, I could be there, and it's the same job, same company, but I could be there, maybe take a lighter work schedule, and then have some extra hours. Right now, with the promotion I got, I can't. I could eventually, maybe, but right now is a job where like I'm pretty hands-on with stuff, so it's kind of like a down the line. It was just a good opportunity, and like I love podcasting, and it is our small business, and it's what we do. But at the same time, it's not. It doesn't pay all the bills, right? I still got to worry about my day job, so I had an opportunity, and I had to take it. So that's why everything kind of got delayed. So I hope one day, because that day, whenever I'm part-time or something like that, that's when I could watch all wrestling, because I don't want to half-ass it. That's my biggest thing, is whether it's people listening, whether it's the host, what's the new job. So what I did before is I work in interior, well, you guys would know, interior health is, so I work for our hospital system, our like, health system, whatever it is, healthcare, right? I guess I should say that. Before, what it was is I used to take care of all the stock. We had to have our Kelowna warehouse where in British Columbia, we get everything like equipment wise out and stuff like that. And I was there to make sure we had the right amount of product, everything, no stock issues. I was like, I guess it was clerk. I guess that's what it was. But like, I took care of the entire stock numbers, stuff like that, doing lots of price variances and everything like that. My promotion was, okay, you're going to do that, but on like a bigger scale, because it's another warehouse that it's not even anywhere I live near. It's a lot more like I have a credit card that has a $10 million limit. Now, again, I don't have to use that all the time, but it's on these things like, hey, you may have to make some big purchases, stuff like that. So there's a lot more responsibility. So that's why. The other job, it's like there's other people trained for it, and it is smaller. So I could kind of go, oh, I could miss a day or two. Like I could start working later schedule. This one's a bit more difficult to do, and eventually maybe down the line will. Or the hope is with the podcasting that we can build this enough that I could just full on go, just hey, I can go part time. But it's one of these things that you got to be full time or not time. Like to start off with, you kind of have to prove yourself and everything. So I just had to take it. Good benefits and everything. Oh, thanks, congratulations, thank you all. Yeah, and it's been good. I actually really like the ship, but that's why the wrestling thing that happens just Travis told you, because I want to do a whole show, but I don't want to half-ass it for people listening. I don't want to half-ass it for whoever's co-hosting with me. So that's why the hopeful job or the hopeful ideas eventually it's gonna, and I think it will. My hope is at some point this year, but I can't guarantee it. And that's, I hate doing that, and I shouldn't announce it at the town hall, but things change. You never know what's gonna happen, right? So Pitch Black, not good. They just did the ending. I think they did the match just to get to the ending. I hope that LA Knight gets something else and gets out of here. And yeah, we'll see. I don't know. And the match wasn't good either. Match was silly. Apparently, the live crowd said they couldn't see shit. And I just none of it was good. Just nothing worked here. So all I can say is I hope that WWE got paid a lot of money to do this match. And if they did, then good for them. So then next we have Bianca versus Bliss. Or Alexa Bliss. I keep calling her Bliss because I can't say Alexa because the Alexa goes off in our house. It's so annoying. I didn't have an Alexa before, or Google Chrome or Google Home, whatever, before when I watch wrestling. This was kind of a nothing. I agree with people of like the Women's Rumble was good. So I don't think it's that. I think it's bad timing. But on Raw 30 this past week, they had advertised Bayley versus Becky in that cage match, right? And that didn't happen, and it was the rumor as it got cut for time. And now the rumor is it's going to happen down the line, but I look at Raw 30 and go, I think there's other things you could have cut to make this happen, and we won't get into that. But also with this match, it's like they only got I think it's like 6 or 7 minutes. So I don't think this is like, man, Triple H is really screwing up. No, I don't think it deserves to give divas or give women's wrestling a chance. Again, I don't think it's that level yet. I think these were some missteps, but this match, it was just it was all right. They worked hard for what they had, but again, more teasing of Alexa with Uncle Howdy and what's going to happen there. Who knows? I don't know. I don't. Whatever they want to do, I guess, is I'm hoping that Bray, Uncle Howdy, Alexa, the Wyatt Six, it all comes together and you go, wow, this is great. And you got a new stable and everything like that. So, yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of there to progress forward. And now, on the game you mentioned that, we're getting to the Women's Royal Rumble. So I'm going to go down the spots here because they have the entire list here. So Rhea and Liv at number 1, eh? I don't know why I said, hey, I was watching it and stuff like that. I was just reading this really weird, who eliminated who, this breakdown doesn't make much sense and everything. But start with Rhea and Liv. That's really fun because they had the last WrestleMania, they were a team together, right? So that's fun callback. They've both changed so much, which is good and for the better. Both great performances. This to me was just a no-brainer for all ways around. One, when I saw the lineup a couple weeks ago and no one was really out, and I'm like, who else would win? And again, this is where it comes in the predictable, where I've been saying the praises for Rhea for a while. So I had not watched. I watched the women's tournament, the Mae Young's thing, and then I watched NXT UK a little bit. But I remember even there, okay, she's such a different look and a personality. She stood out from everybody. But it was a couple of years ago, and I think that I was somebody, I don't know. Because I think it was. I think I don't know. I don't want to be like I was the only one, but the fact that a couple years ago when they had that WrestleMania in the fucking Performance Center, to me the match of those two nights were Rhea and Charlotte. I have to go back and look, but I think that's what it was. And I just remember I felt like the match wasn't getting enough love, and I feel like it was just all about oh, Charlotte became the NXT champ. But it's like Rhea put in a really good performance, and it sucks because that was her first WrestleMania, and here she is just in no crowd and stuff like that. Then the next year she gets Asuka. And then that was the mistake too, where she comes up and Vince is pushing her as a babyface and they're doing it in a weird way. Nothing was clicking as far as her first few months on the, and she won the women's title. She had it for a while, but nothing for me was like clicking as far as like the wider spread. And it sucks. It's like, I know she can be great. I know she's talented, but like something's missing here. And you know what? Sometimes that just happens when you come to the main roster. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And I was worried, like, you know what? I love Rhea, but it's just not clicking. Like how is she going to get back to where she was in NXT? This aura she had, right? Well, she had it before. I'd say Judgment Day when she started to be Healy with Liv, but this Judgment Day thing has really, really just gotten her to another level. And it's one of these things of like, it's the Will Ferrell and Zoolander so hot right now. Let's take our ad break because I'm going to be talking about the Women's Run for a while. So let's take our next ad break and then we'll break all this down. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So like I said, it's that GIF, right? That's so hot right now. And that is Rhea. Now, I'm not trying to sound misogynistic and say like, oh, just to talk about like her looks like that. That's helping. I feel like there's two things. She's great in the ring. Her promo skills, like she feels so confident. She feels like just this cool character that like the Seth. And here's the thing. I don't think Rhea Ripley is like the Rhea Ripley on TV. I don't even know if Rhea Ripley's her real name. Probably not. Does someone have a name like Rhea Ripley? There's no fucking way. I'm not trying to break kayfabe here, but okay, Demi Bennett. There we go. I'm like, no one's named Rhea Ripley. Cool name though, but I guarantee you, Demi Bennett is not like Rhea Ripley in real life. But the difference is, she sure feels like it. Like that feels like a real character, where the Seth thing doesn't to me. That Tyler Black, like it just doesn't feel like this guy feels way too cartoony. And I mean, if you're cartoony, then you gotta do it really well, like a Mankind, like a Taker. Seth freaking Rollins, that's not happening. But Rhea Ripley, this Judgment Day one, I don't care. She's smart. I don't care what you want to say. We can talk about it all. This for men and women. She went to Judgment Day and she got a lot more kind of, I'd say, revealing gear. Before she just used to have the gear that went down to her legs and everything like that. This is gear that it's cut off at her thighs, and then she has like the little suspender straps that, like, let's be honest, they fucking like raise a person, man or female's ass up, and it gives it that like, right? People, if you have someone with lingerie, you know what I'm talking about. The reason I think this is why I'm not just saying like, oh yeah, Rhea Ripley is fucking like, you know, home like Wolf of Wall Street. Oh my God. Like she has that going on. She's a gorgeous woman. This looks going on. But the two things about it is the reason she's doing these changes is because it fits with the presence, the character, the same way we talked about before, when it's just like these rumors of like, oh, Black Cat might be in the Sony universe, but they're going to take down her sexuality. It's like, no, like that character needs that. And that's what this this character is. She is this fucking, like the bad girl that you know you shouldn't date or talk to, but you can't help it. And she's just like trying to, like, she's a seductress. That's what she is. She's somebody that would get you there, and she's not gonna kill you. She's almost like a little cult leader where she's gonna make you become like her lover, and then you're gonna do her bidding. Judgment Day started as Edge's group that had Damian and Rhea, and then they kick Edge out. They've been bringing Finn. It for sure feels like Rhea's become the leader of that group. Even if it's Finn, the presence they and that's what it feels like. It feels like you have this woman who's using not only just her power, but like her beauty to like kind of seduce these guys and do whatever she wants. And she's fucking smart. She's smart to make that change as far as like the more revealing gear, because that's what the character is now. She's playing off this whole, and it's not even that hardcore with her and Dom of like their relationship, and there's like some touchy feeling that everyone calls her mommy now, like a kind of like a daddy thing. They're playing off sexual vibes, but it's not like the way even Lita was back in the day with Edge and them doing live sex celebration. It's very subtle. And that's what I love about it. It's like, but she knew look-wise, whether it's the hair, the gear, how she acts a bit more just like when she looks at the sign after she won and she's like waving at it, like kind of like flirt. Like she's very smart. And whether it's her and the bookers, whatever, like they're smart to like give it a bit of a sexual edge. And the thing is, like, you don't have that much in WWE right now because it's a family product. She is going to be responsible for like such like so many young women and men sexual awakening in this era. I'm telling you, because like the way she's playing it. But then she backs up because she's a fucking great promo and she's great in the ring. So like she's smart, and that's where it's to get this all together. Why I thought she was going to win. I think right now, I love Jamie Hayter. She might be the best women's wrestler in the world. Bianca, I think, might still be the best, like kind of overall, even though like the last few times I've seen Raw, the promos they're giving her, she's doing it haven't been the greatest, but I still think she's a megastar. Charlotte, I still think is like probably the greatest women's wrestler. There's lots of great people, but this is not me saying, oh, Rhea's better than Bianca, better than Charlotte, because there's debates for all. But everybody has a time where they're the hottest, where they're the hot shit. And we're going to talk about the Sami Zayn, right? And that's the problem with the Sami and Cody thing of why some people feel like Sami should be the guy, because it's just Sami has it right now. Rhea has it. She is the act in women's wrestling right now as far as everything. She's just like early on the show, she's beating up Edge, and you can believe it, right? Like anytime she steps up to a dude, and the good thing is like she has a great physique. She's always posting videos where she's working out. She looks great. I think she should stop retweeting fans that are liking her because she's supposed to be a heel, but that's all right. But even then, she's not like the most like she's not like Bobby Lashley size or anything like that, but she could step up to him and you'd be like, I think Rhea might kick his ass. Like she like it's just the perfect combination of like this badass, the bad girl kind of, I won't say sex pot, but like manipulative, like I'm looking for a word, like and even seductress, like I used that earlier, but it's like she's not even using that much sexual appeal. But the main point is she's the act right now. To me, I think she's the one that people are most interested in as far as women's wrestling. And then men would probably be Sami Zayn, right? So, and I think before Sami Zayn was probably MJF. And there, you could make an argument for both, but I feel like now MJF with the title, it's fun, but I feel like it's like it's not that's not working. I think it's working, but it's just like I wonder with that, and we'll talk about AEW, maybe that was a weird thing of like, we want him to have the title, but at the same point, it's like the chase could have been better. I don't know. But I feel with women, she's the act right now, right? So it made sense for me winning. She had a good showing. I thought they were gonna maybe give her like the elimination record, but they didn't. And for the Women's Rumble, what I liked about this is not a bunch of big surprise entrances. They did Michelle McCool, which was fun. She was in the crowd, then she got up and everything like that. I think they did a bunch of good little mini stories here. They had Rhea and Liv, like kind of rekindle that rivalry. They had Becky and Damage Control throughout the whole thing. Becky gear was great, hair was great, and everything like that. Lots, I think, a good intensity there. That's what I'm interested as far as they're like. So they're gonna do Becky and Bayley, and I guess it could be the blow off. But it feels like I don't know what they're gonna do for the women's matches. And let's see, All in the Game says thoughts on Raquel and Lacey Evans. Lacey, I saw you talk about it before. It's just not working for me on two routes. One, I don't like her personally. I think everyone knows, but like she posted, I think some very like I don't know, uneducated thing about people that suffer from Down syndrome, and it's not even to tie in with what happened the other day. She's got a lot of heat from this clip where she goes to high five a fan and then she doesn't, right? And it's a person that has special needs. And that's a whole tricky thing because you have people that have special needs and say, hey, we want to be part of the shows too. I don't see a problem with this. To another part of, well, they might not understand it because they're just here. That's a whole thing. And there's even a chance that she didn't even know that when she saw the kid, right? So that's tough. But the problem is she said stuff before where it's like, and she's deleted. You could go Google search. It's just, to me, like, not great. And no, it just doesn't work. It's an experiment. I don't want anyone to, per se, lose their jobs and be fired, right? That I don't want to be, because I feel like that's like low tier of like, if you're the people like campaign, like fire this person, fire. No, that's someone's livelihood. That's their job. I just don't know what you can do with her. She's been repackaged so many times, it's not working. In this Rumble, it doesn't really work. She gets no reaction. That's where it's tough. Like, even the men's Rumble, where I remember people like, even Andrew Dawkins comes out, Chad Gable, like, smaller people, they're getting reactions. And then fucking Otis's music came out. Alpha Academy music's hit. And everyone knows it's Otis, because Chad Gable's already come out. It's just dead quiet, because no one gives a fuck about Otis anymore. They should have never changed him from that comedic character. That was the route to go. With Lacey Evans, the same thing. The music hits, and I guess there was boos, but it just is this general of like, no one cares, and that's tough. That's even worse than being hated. I think you'd rather take the, like when Cena was getting booed, or like Cody before he left AEW was getting booed, but then he was getting that kind of Cena reaction. As the old expression, it's cliche, but it's like, as long as they're reacting, that's good, because you can do something with that. If they boo, you can go that route. If they boo, like, you can go the heel route. If they boo and you're trying to be babyface, you could do the John Cena in the middle, or they cheer for you. Even if you're a heel, maybe it's like, hey, you're a heel. It's kind of like how I feel. Luckily, it feels like with Britt Baker and Jimmy Hayter, they're starting to change that, where these girls for months have been getting cheered. and I feel like they're more comfortable as heels, but it's like you got to make the switch, Tony. Like this is like you got to change it up, and that's where you can, as long as people are reacting, there's doors. When people aren't reacting, you're stuck. And I see your comment center down to NXT for a few months. Yeah, maybe that might be the best, but this whole and like the I think just the raw America soldier, and I guess they're kind of playing as a heely gimmick, but I think people are just over that. I think people, it's like the same way as like people are over like Rusev was the last great, I think like foreign heel that you that they did. I feel like that gimmick's so tired that you can't do it anymore. And it's the same thing as this, like, I'm American, I'm better than you. People have done it before, and Lacey's not doing it great. So Raquel, I don't know. I'm jury's out on her. I could still see her being a player down the line. I think her version of NXT though was much better, of this big giant who was very imposing. I wouldn't say very scary, but just like took no shit. This kind of, I know this is the whole thing. Like she was told in NXT not to smile, and then when she gets to WWE, Vince has her smiling a bunch. It just doesn't work. It comes off as kind of fake. So, but I've seen enough good stuff from her. I don't think the jury's out. I think it's almost like the Rhea thing where she's trying to still find her way a little bit. And I feel like even WWE's trying to find their way with her a little bit and stuff like that. So I think that um, to me that all works and everything like that. Or sorry, it's not working, but I think it can work. I think it's something that you just need a character change, and I think that's gonna happen. I think what's gonna happen is they'll do the whole she smiles and she's done with smiling and she turns and everything like that. I think, and even the spots she had in the Rumble, I think are decent. Like I think she had a good showing. So Lacey, unfortunately, I don't think. And yes, all in the game. I know that. I know Raquel's history, but at the same time, the political thing is very tough, right? Like, look at the stuff happening with Zachary Lee right now. It's tough, but I think there's certain lines where it's like if you're left and right, like there's tons of people that like they're on the right. That's fine. To me, if you're just on the right, it's not a complete like, hey, you're dead in the water. But the thing is that with Raquel, I don't think it's like I don't know. Recently, there's not been so much bad stuff where it's like, you could, if this gets brought up in an interview, not great. With Lacey's like, if this gets brought up in an interview, what do you say? So I don't know. So I'm gonna be right back because I have to do one more thing with the daughter to take care of her. So I will be back in like I'll put in the comments, like just give me 2 or 3 minutes. I'll be right back. Um, be back in 5. I need a be right back thing. And this is the problem with soul things that I gotta. That's why always people know why I try to cast in the nighttime and stuff right now, right? Because it's just a bit easier. So just give me 5 minutes and I'll be right back. I'll throw the start and tune up, but yeah, we're gonna keep talking about the Rumble. So be right back. Oh, I don't even know why I did that. Sure, like I should have had that comment the whole time. All right, I'm back. Let's finish this off here. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Lacey and Raquel. Let's go down the list here. But yeah, I think there was lots of good mini stories here. Not as many as the men, and there was just a lot of like, BFAB comes out, just gets thrown out, Dana Brooke. So let's go back up here and just talk about some of the entrances. You had Chelsea Green. She came back at number 20. Got tossed out. I was prepped for this because I know there was disappointment. I had been prepped from rumors that she is going to be playing a comedic character, which fits what Chelsea Green does, right? We'll see. I'm really hoping for her that it works out this time. I think she's a talent that WWE missed out last time. They had her for a while and just didn't do much with her, even Triple H. So I think there's something there. They just have to. They have to put her in right situations. I think that's the best way of saying it. So, and then what was Damage Control and Becky Lynch? They fought. They got her out. They fought. Oh, that's what I was saying before we talk about Lacey and Raquel. I'm curious where they're going with this. If this is the end game, or if it's like, what is the end game? Is it just Becky versus Bayley? Is it Becky and two friends versus Damage Control? Which I don't know, because they've had Damage Control lose 6 women takes before, so there's not like a Shield aesthetic. So I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know, other than like what you said there all in the game was like, you're ready for where was it? Rhea and Bianca. I think that's what we all are, right? And I feel like, to me, that is the match to do at WrestleMania. I don't know. Now, I would like it. I would love nothing more, because people are there fucking at WrestleMania no matter what. Doesn't matter what the main event is for most part, but it still is important in the overall scheme of things. But it's like people aren't going to return their ticket if they go, oh, Bianca and Rhea are the main event. To me, that's a huge sign of things for Triple H in the business. And for me, a big pro is if the main event of night 1 is Rhea versus Bianca, night 2 is Cody versus Roman. Having a main event with 4 talents that are current roster members, that is I bow down. I bow down and say, man, you are the fucking king of kings and stuff like that. Because that, to me, is what they should be doing. They should be putting their stars forward and everything like that. So, because I don't, like, I guess the other idea is, because last year, 2 men's main event, and I get it, right? The main event, you had Roman and Brock, which I get why it main event, but I don't think it needed to. Really don't. And then you had Stone Cold and Owens. Stone Cold has to go on last. I get that. To me, I would have. It's tough because Roman is Roman, right? And to me, the best match last year was Bianca and Becky. I would have them do one night, but I guess like it's tough because like that one I understood. I think from the hype perspective of that, I don't know what else other than if you're gonna do Sammy and Owens versus the Usos for the titles. That could be a main event, I guess. That actually would be fun to see, a tag title match main event WrestleMania. That would be swell. Maybe they should do that. So I could be talked into that. If not, I want Rhea and Bianca. I don't know if it's going to happen, because I think that's a wrestling fans main event. And whatever Ronda is doing could be the fucking general audience's main event, right? But I don't know what's going on. I feel like it is Bianca and Rhea, which will be great. I would like it to main event. I don't know if it happens. We'll see if it has the fire there. For Charlotte, really don't know. Don't know what's happening, because the rumor was they're not doing Becky and Ronda anymore. So I thought that was going to happen. And that would have been kind of cool too. Like Becky and Ronda, Rhea and Bianca, and then Charlotte versus somebody who, I don't know. I actually thought for a while what I thought was going to happen, they're going to do Rhea and Beth, Bianca and Charlotte, and Becky and Ronda. But that's not happening anymore. And that wasn't a rumor, but I just thought like that was kind of the routes they're going. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting what's going to happen over there and with all these girls there. Let's see. Was a funny spot, but just need to hear more of what she was saying. That's fair. Sometimes they're not mic'd up the best. And yeah, lots of NXT people that I haven't seen, which was kind of fun because I haven't been watching NXT that much. Like who was you had Tegan Knox in there. Piper Niven got her name back. Thank God. Don't call the poor one Dewdrop. You know, like Roxanne Perez. Hadn't seen wrestle. She looked great. Zoe Stark, hadn't seen much of her. So I like the highlight of the young talent and the newer talent coming in. Candice LeRae, it's been interesting since she got back. It's just, I feel like she's a very good talent, but she's kind of lost in the shuffle, but hopefully that'll work itself out. Tamina it's not a Royal Rumble unless you have Tamina in it, you know. And then a big one was Asuka. She's doing the Kano look again. That was big. I think this is a good refresher for Asuka. I'm very excited to see what they can do and let her do with it. But this just felt like a breath of fresh air, and it did feel like she's doing different characters. It didn't feel like Asuka's face paint. It felt like from the clips that I had seen in Japan, it was that because I watched Japan wrestling, but I wasn't all in like I was a few years ago. So Emma's such a boring wrestler name. Yeah, and she's another one that's kind of lost in the shuffle. But a lot of these people they just come back or they're just on the main roster, right? So give them time. And like I said, they have women's matches they could do. I just don't know what route they go. Do they do Becky and Charlotte at WrestleMania? Like they could. I don't know if I need that, but they could. There's lots of routes, and no Naomi. Yeah, that was the thing, and that's rumor she's coming back. But it's like we keep hearing this, we keep hearing, oh, it's here, and then doesn't happen. So I don't know if she's back, but I think it will be. But like this would have been the spot, right? I said Michelle McCool, good spot. Indy Hartwell got a good little showing. Um, a rare Triple H. So Ripley had 7 eliminations. Wow, pretty impressive. A rare Triple H L. He brought back Nia Jax. Now, it was interesting. They played her music before the buzzer went off, so that was kind of funny. I don't know if I've ever seen that in Rumble history. Her music just hit, and then the timer started. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people that dislike Nia Jax for a lot of reasons. I don't dislike her because her heritage. That definitely helps her being there, right? Part of the Rock's family, okay? I don't dislike her for the people that are pieces of shit that like talk about like women's wrestlers gotta look a certain way. No, you can be whatever size you can go, you can go. I dislike her because what I want to happen is I do not want her to potentially hurt as many people as she did before. She seemed like whether it was careless or making mistakes, she just seemed like there's a lot of situations where she would get into hurting people, and I do not want people to get hurt. It's the same way, like that's why with Brock Lesnar, it's fun, but there is to a point where people are like, oh, I love seeing. It's like as long as they're protected, I'm cool with it. And with Nia Jax, like I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of her from that aspect, and I don't know what else she really brings other than okay, she can be an imposing force, and she's a bigger sized lady, so you have that uniqueness, right? I just think there's like someone like Piper Niven. I think there's better talent in the world. So I don't know. I just looked at one. Is this worth it? Is this a hire that needed to happen? And I'll give it a chance. Again, I just don't want to see a bunch of moves where the women are put in situation, and it's not because her size. There's women her size that wrestle are completely fine. It just either to me it felt like a carelessness or was not trained properly. And whatever it feels like, you need to nip it in the bud. I don't want girls or women, anyone getting hurt. This is their job. This is like their livelihood, and it's different when you get hurt and someone screws up on a move, and it's like, man, that sucks, but it does happen. But when you see things happen again and again, you go, really? So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, and then the finale was really cool. A bunch of eliminations. Everyone teamed up with Nia, which was fun. And that came down to Asuka, the newly rebooted Asuka, Liv, and Rhea. Very fun finish. I've never seen that where all 3 ladies were on the ring apron. I've never seen like multiple people on the ring apron like that. I think before, like 2, but really cool as far as Asuka goes to do the miss. Rhea ducks, hits Liv. And then Rhea did this cool thing where she like spun around in the ropes and like kicked Asuka. It was really cool. Rhea's just fucking cool. And then it was down to Liv and Rhea, which I loved. 1 and 2 started out, and everything like that. And it was great because at one point Liv hits her finisher on the turnbuckle or on the apron. Rhea's doing her best Shawn Michaels, I think 95 impersonation where her feet are almost touching. I was like, man, this woman's tall. Like, how is this not happening? And then Liv is blinded, so she can't see where Rhea is, so she's just reaching for hands, and she's hitting it. And then Rhea puts her legs up, grabs Liv by the head for head scissors, throws her out. Fantastic finish. Great stuff. Sure, Liv put her head down a little early because she can clearly still see, but subvert it, get out of your mind. Great stuff, and Rhea gets to win. She did a lot of great shots of biting the rope, like I said, kind of flirting with the sign. Like I said, I thought the women's rumble was good. I think the men's one was better, but the finale was really good. You could argue that. I still like the Cody Gunther one because of the one-on-one aspect, but as far as just the finish, the actual elimination, the women's was better, more creative. It was just Cody's was just we clothesline Gunther. It was okay, that's fine. So We will see. We'll see what happens. But let's take our last break here, and then we're going to talk about the main event and one of the best wrestling angles of all time. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So and then apparently you had Hardy perform this guy. All I saw on my timeline that was awful, and I stopped. I didn't watch it at all. So you had Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, and I had said this before, right? Where okay, you have a Rumble match going on last. What are you going to do? And I, like many people, jumped to, okay, well, KO is going to get beaten. Sammy's going to stick with him. And then if this mount is going to hit, right? And Rock's going to walk down. He's going to drop the people's elbow and eye. And then head of the table versus Roman Reigns. All this stuff, right? What they did is better than anything they could have done with The Rock. Now, they're put in an interesting situation because with Roman and Kevin, I felt like the entire crowd was just waiting, like what's gonna happen, everything, right? Like because if this is last, something's gonna happen, and it's more just what's Sammy gonna do. The match itself was good. I think it was a good, solid main event. It worked, nothing like out of this world. I think the finish was really good with the Sammy, Roman asked for the chair. Sammy doesn't know if he's gonna throw it in, and he does. But then because he took so long, it gave Kevin Owens a chance to respond to stun him. You got Sammy checking on him, but could he be distracted? And then you got those brutal steel step throws and everything like that. So the match worked, was good. For the most part, like Roman won clean. He didn't get to use the chair. If anything, Sammy distracted him. So that was good to see. But I guess, too, at one point, the ref was down and Owens had like a 10 count pin, right? But at the same time, you could say, well, Roman's resting. He's not going to kick out if no one's there. So we'll see. Either way, solid, Rock still sulking with Black Adam flopping. No, I genuinely believe it's just because he is busy. Because, the guy, the XFL's about to start soon, right? So I do believe it's just, as much as I love Cody, if they had The Rock, they'd be doing Rock and Roman. They would be. The Rock's one of the biggest stars in the world. And I think The Rock honestly could have used some wrestling. I think his image did get hurt past since Black Adam to now. He comes back in wrestling. I think you'd get some of that love again. You'd be like, fuck, I do love this guy. Like the promos are good and this is good. So I think it actually would have been beneficial towards him, but didn't happen. Like I said, for us, much better. So match happens. Roman beats him. So, and they're going to walk away, but no, there's the Usos come down. They start beating on Kevin Owens and stuff like that. They handcuff him. This all feels like a fucking A-class mob movie. And I don't want to say who said it because the guy ended up being a piece of shit, but they did say one thing where wrestling a lot of time can be goofy. It can suck, but when it's good, it's fucking good. There's nothing better than when wrestling, in my opinion, when a wrestling angle delivers a home run, because you got that aspect of the performance and the people and just the tension. It's as good as some of the best movies and TV shows in the world. And this was one of these moments. So it ends, like I said, like a mob movie. It's just Roman as this big time criminal boss with his goons, his family members, and they're just beating the shit out of Kevin Owens. They handcuff him to the ring. They're just beating him up and everything like that. Just brutalizing this man. And they're just doing all these stuffs, right? And he's knocked down everything. Sami Zayn, his best friend. Obviously, they've had a falling out now because he's with the group, but he's best friend. And stuff like that. And yeah, only it says multiple kicks to the head became hard to watch. For me, it did, because also you know about concussions. But this thing, there is no blood here. There is no thumbtacks. I felt uncomfortable watching this. It's just super kicks. Now they are to the head unprotected, but still, it's just super kicks. It's just kicking a guy in the head, but it felt so raw where you're like, oh God, no pun intended. This is brutal. Stop this. And then what happens is Roman gets the chair. And what I love is not just going to hit Kevin Owens. And because I guess I forgot to mention, they were going to give him I can't remember what it's called, but what they wear, it's like a Samoan, it's like a Lakua or something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like that, the flowers, it shows that you're part of the family. Jay wanted to give it on Sammy, said, no, we got to do one more thing. So to beat down Kevin Owens, and then what I love is Roman's not just going to hit him. And I forgot to mention too that Sammy and Roman knocked this all out of the park. Sammy in the match was good. He made it fucking great with his reactions. When KO got his head slammed in steps, he was like his reaction was visceral, just oh my God, you're doing this to a guy that's family to me. I understand we're not on the same side, but still but he didn't want to say anything, just perfect. And Roman, man, he's going to hit KO with the chair. And I love he's saying oh, Sammy's with me now. You've just you've brought him down, everything. You're not worth it. You're more of an anchor to him than anything. And I'm going to get into it in a second here. But then when he takes that chair and he goes to hit him, and Sammy walks in front of him. And this is when you know, like, the crowd reacts to little stuff. He walks in front and the entire crowd just, oh, and they start to chant Sam and everything like that. And he's like, oh, don't do this. This is beneath you. And he's like, you're right. I shouldn't be doing this. And when he held up that chair, that look that Roman gave Sammy, I was like, man, this guy could rival Batista if he goes into acting, like when he gets there, because I think he will. All the body motions of Roman, he looked like that criminal boss of just like so cold. Like, no, you're gonna hit your friend, your former best. Like, you're gonna give him a concussion. You're gonna hurt him. You're gonna put him on the shelf. Like, it was so cold and callous. And what I love is all the stuff, like all these things come back together in this angle. And this is legitimately last night made this a top 5 wrestling story for me of all time. I don't know where it would rank, even top 3. I don't know. I don't know if I can say number 1, but like, it's up there. This is one of the greatest stories of all time. Gives him the chair, and he's telling him, like, this guy's been an anchor your whole career. Remember how Kevin Owens debuted? Everyone knew they were friends. He comes in NXT the first night. Sami Zayn, he wins the NXT title. He's celebrating. Kevin Owens ruins that celebration, takes him out of action. So, like, even Roman being like, this guy your whole career has been an anchor. He's not good for you. Like, cut the tie. So it's like Roman, as this like evil villain, has a point of like, he's not good for you. And I love when Roman's like, you can either be with us, you could be the main event, you could be making the most money, be the top of the card, whatever it talks about, or you can go do your, like, I'm paraphrasing, but then it's like, or you go do your jackass shit, which is alluding to last year when he had his match with Johnny Knoxville. And like, it was fun enough, right? Like when he had like comedy stuff, I think Sami Zayn really made it work, but he's just alluding like, you can go back to the card with the rest of people, or you could be with the tippy top people. You could be the best of the best. And just like, he's making all these points, like, yeah, like, why wouldn't he? So he gives him the chair. He's telling him, you got to hit him and stuff like that. And he's just saying, like, he keeps trash talking Kevin Owens. And there's times where Sammy gets behind Roman and you think he's going to hit him and he doesn't. And like, it's all this tension. And then Roman just looks back at him, and finally he just like pushes him in the face. It keeps pushing him, like trying to motivate him. Like, this is my life. It's my like, he's just kind of saying like, it's like, shit her off the pot, man. Like, stop fucking around. Like, you're either with us or you're not with us. Like, show it right now. Like, you should have done it already. Like, get to it. Like, let's do this. And of course, those shoves, that was the mistake. Roman turns his back again. And then Sammy hits him with the chair. And this is like been building since August, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm excited to see clips. I think there's gonna be lots of discussion. I don't know if there's been a bigger pop for a single move / moment than that. I'm not talking a surprise entrance, because obviously that's like an Edge, or like, or even a comeback, like when Punk came back to AEW, massive pops, right? I'm not talking about a win or a comeback return. I'm talking about a moment, just a moment, a move, something like that. When he hit him with that chair, I got goosebumps. That, I could not believe the pop. And that's where the argument does come in of like, how do you not do Sammy versus Roman? Like, I think Cody and Roman is the better promotional, makes more sense story-wise as far as what Cody's doing and Roman, and like Cody could be another face of this company. I don't think Sammy could be. But that pop was deafening. And whatever Cody, like the men's rumble was great and he got a big pop, his pop was nothing compared to Sammy hitting Roman with that chair. And that's where it is tough to argue against, because that, I've never heard a pop like that. That was for just a move, for just a hit, like some move executed, or like a chair shot, right? I've heard it for returns and like a surprise entrance or Money in the Bank, stuff like that. But this, it was incredible. And I love that he hit Roman, threw down the chair, and just apologized. One to Jay, there's so much to talk about with his character too. So he hits Roman. One, the parallels of the Shield, right? Shield were a unit together. How did it end? Seth Rollins hit him in the back with a chair. Same thing here. So it's like almost like PTSD for Roman. Like, this fucking guy knows when I went down. And he's hitting me in the back, in the back with a chair. Like, you son of a bitch, right? So that happens. And then you're looking at Jay. And they start to, it's great because Jimmy, he hits Sam with the Uso kick. And it's the super kick. And he's like, oh, you say this guy's your brother? You say he's your brother? I'm your real brother, which is so great because on Monday, Jay said, like, Sammy's like a brother to me. So then you have these little, like, inner turmoil of Jimmy Uso being like, fuck this guy. Like, why do you like this guy? Like, I'm your real brother. Don't be calling him your brother. Like, I'm your fucking brother. Solo's your brother. Like, this guy's not your brother. So that's great. Jay, it started with him. One, he didn't like Sami Zayn at first, right? And then he turned around and was with him. That's great. But how did this whole fucking Roman Reigns turn start? Okay, he came back at SummerSlam and got it, and Triple Threat got the title. But there was that match with Jay, and I loved this match. I don't know why, because some people, I remember they called it like boring, but it's like storytelling 101. And that's why I like Roman's title run, because like, what was I gonna say? Like, I like that they are making him like this final boss and everything like that, right? And it's just like you can't beat him, and he's using all these tricks that even when you can't beat him, he'll friends interfere and that mess with everything. But what started this was him being cold and callous. Was he just won? He was obsessed with everyone in his family getting behind him, doing whatever he says. Started with Jay and Roman. This whole storyline in Hell in a Cell, when he was beating on him, and it was I quit in Hell in a Cell, and Jimmy had to come in there, and the only way Jay would quit is Roman started to beat on Jimmy, and Jay quit. It started all the way back with pretty much him just like being like an abusive family member, an abusive like big brother in a sense, to get him in line. And it started with Jay. So the fact that Jay is the first one of the family to walk out, it's like, yes, like all these little things between Sammy and Kevin, the chair shot to Roman, Jay being the one that where this all started, he's the one that's gonna walk out and be like, I can't fucking do this. Like this, I think you're wrong for this. Like it shows, because it shows like the only reason, because remember when they did the whole you're the tribal chief and he put the one up, everything like that, Jay at first was reluctant to do it because he was trying to beat Roman for the title. And then now it's like, okay, I'm with you. You're the head of the table. And then he got into it, right? But now it's like that doubt again. And we'll talk about that in a second. But that was all fantastic stuff. And then All in the Game says, I was going to bring this up. Obviously not in front of 51K, but the first time Sal Ruka pulled off her insane finisher a few weeks ago, NXT, the center went crazy. I'm sure it did. And again, the 51K helps, but like, there's been bigger wrestling crowds, right? And that's where it's like you have to get a moment that is like that. And I feel like it's in unison, just that. Oh, so I think the 51K helps, but if half of them don't care, it's not going to be loud, right? So Jay walks out, he won't do it. They beat the crap out of him, and then like I said, they take the shawl. I can't remember the name of it. Someone in the chat could tell me, but they're gonna give it to Sammy. But instead, because obviously it went down, he's not in the group anymore. Roman's standing over his body, just plucking it, throwing it on him. And then rarely happens in a WWE crowd. There happens sometime, but to get like the entire crowd chanting it in unison, for the crowd to chant "fuck you, Roman," man. And it's not like a Raw after WrestleMania like smart mark crowd. It's like 50K people chanting "fuck you, Roman." Like, man, this was there's no word to describe how well done it was. Like I could say home run, I could say masterpiece, art, perfection, whatever it is. It's all those hyperbolic things. And the thing is, most time when we say, oh, it's a masterpiece, oh, it's a 10 out of 10, we are being hyperbolic in a sense, right? I don't think anyone's in this. Anyone can talk about how great this is. Someone could tell me this is the best wrestling story that's ever happened. I say, you know what? Sure. Because it's that good. And everyone involved, from Sammy to Roman to the Usos to KO, everything. It is firing all cylinders, and this was just done fantastic. And this is why I deserved the main event spot. Like I said, it didn't even matter. Raw could come out, hit a people's elbow and everything, wouldn't have mattered, because this trounced anything Rock and Roman would have done. So fantastic angle. Now it's like, where do we go from here? That's the difficult spot, right? In my mind, I had said this a couple people on Twitter. I thought what was going to happen, because I think there was rumors already that it was going to be KO and Sammy, so like versus the Usos at Mania. So obviously things can change, right? We talked about that. At one point it was Batista versus Randy at WrestleMania, and that all changed. Thank God I was there, because I was so bummed when it happened. It's like, fuck, this is gonna suck, and luckily they changed it. I think what you have is you have Jay and Jimmy. They're at odds, the two Uso brothers, until Chamber time. Jay makes the turn. It's gonna be Sammy versus Roman for the title. Jay makes the turn and screws over Sami Zayn, and maybe they'll do a chamber match and Roman will be in there with everybody. I don't know what they're gonna do there, and maybe it comes down to Roman and Sammy, and Jay is gonna make the decision to one more time turn and go against Sami Zayn, and they're gonna try and get all the heat on Roman onto the Usos. That's gonna be tough, because that, I won't say rarely works, but doesn't always work, as far as, okay, well, we want this issue between Roman and Sammy, but we can't have that match, so what if we use this as like we'll use the Usos as Roman. They just have to get the heat on Jay and Jimmy big time. You know, they have to really, really try to make them, like, almost make it feel like, okay, Roman was the one that kicked Sammy out, but Usos are the one that, like, hate him more. I don't know. Like, they have to, if they do that, they have to shift the blame somehow to the Usos. And it's very tough, because Jimmy already beat up Sammy. So it's like, okay, like, what everyone wants to see is they want to see Sammy versus Roman. They want to see Sammy kick his ass, right? They want to see him get revenge or do revenge too. You got to find a way to make it that you want him to get revenge on the Usos. Now, that could be the case where Sammy is inches away from the titles or the title and the Usos fuck him over, right? But at the same point if that happens, you're still going to want to be like, but like Sammy was about to beat Roman. They should run that back. With Triple H doing this, I think there's a way to pull it off. I think there's a way to pull it off where they screw him over. You get the tag titles match, which is going to be a hot tag title match. And then you just have to really hit home. You somehow have to intertwine, I think, Cody and Sammy. And even if in that final match, let's say it's Cody and Roman at WrestleMania, and the Usos come out and interfere, having Kevin Owens and Sammy come out to help interfere and get Cody the win will help. Again, like Mankind was talking about, the way The Rock came in and helped Mankind win the title, kind of do that, but with like KO and Sammy and The Rock role back in the day. I think that's how you do, because I think if you just make Cody just by himself and he beats Roman, sure, it can work. They can do that. But if they also incorporate these other two, if they make it more so of like, it's not about, okay, Cody beating Roman. It's the fact that Roman's losing. It's like the Hux quote from Rise Skywalker, right? I don't need to win. I just need Kylo Ren to lose. And if they can make it that where it's not so much about, oh, Cody's a guy, he got the match and Sammy did it. If they make it like, hey, whatever happens, we just want fucking Roman Reigns to lose. He has to let go of this title. He's fucking bottlenecking this division. We're going to be behind you. And if that moment happens where the Usos interfere and then KO and Sammy come down for the save, let's say Roman's about to do something, Sammy hits him with a haluva kick, they throw it to Cody, he gets that big fucking crossroads, then Roman kicks out one more time, but it still helps, like there is a way to do it. It's just tough because that was huge with Sami Zayn. And Sammy just deserves all credit, man. And I hope he does get the main title run at some point. I hope it happens. I think the timing of it right now is not the greatest, but he deserves it. He deserves something. And this year alone, from WrestleMania to now, he's a first ballot maybe I won't say first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a guaranteed Hall of Famer. He's a W Hall of Famer. The moments that he's made, Roman's already there, but the moments he made is incredible. They are everlasting moments that people will be talking about for decades. Like, you remember that storyline? You remember Sammy Roman? You need to do that. So, yeah, I just bravo all around. Can't wait to see where it goes. And I guess I was going to say that they were, like I said, Roman and Sammy at Chamber, but maybe they won't. Maybe they'll do Roman and Sammy are in the Chamber, and it comes down to Sammy and Roman. I think that's actually the best route to go to. And I don't know how they get the Usos in the cage, but of course they'll always be, find a way to do it. So, yeah, this was a fantastic event. Sure, there was some slumps. Women's match was just kind of there. Pitch black match, not great. But in the big moments where they had to deliver, they did. For people watching live, those other topics, I got to do another time because I did not think I was going to go an hour and a half on just the Rumble, which I did. So thank you, everyone in chat. Thank you all in game, watching. Thank you to everybody that listens to the Wrestling Cast after. Like I said, I'll be doing another chat. I told you sometime hopefully this week with some other topics. There'll be newscasts, the DC slate things happening. So whenever you hear from me next, it'll not be boring. See ya.